Arnold Schwarzenegger is in his late 70s. He's no longer in politics. He is a man with many interests around the world, has continued his entertainment career. He wasn't going to stop and run a campaign. That's not what he does anymore. The people that should have stopped and ran the campaign and made sure it was funded is the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who abandoned Doug LaMalfa and every other Republican out here, and Donald Trump. Now, no Republican wanted Trump involved publicly because that would have made, Gavin Newsom's point. But they sure expected Trump to tell donors, hey, go spend tens of millions of dollars out in California and fight for these Republican House seats. It's nothing to do with Arnold Schwarzenegger. We're in this predicament. If you're a Republican, you're in this predicament because Donald Trump demanded Texas do a mid-decade redistricting, and then Donald Trump and Speaker Johnson didn't do anything to try to fight the response to that here in California. I think that's what Politico should have written a story about. Maybe they still will.
So was it a misstep then in the advertising, the messaging to bring back Arnold Schwarzenegger in a few of those ads? You mentioned, he wasn't out there in the public. And I really only saw him in those pre-produced ads.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger, he spoke publicly, gave the No Out campaign the opportunity to record him and put him up in an ad. And they did. Little nuance here is worth maybe at this point talking about. There were two no campaigns, right? Okay. So one was funded, the one that really spent any money was funded by a gentleman named Charles Munger Jr., who is wealthy and largely funded the campaigns back in 08 and 10 that passed the State Legislative Commission and then the Congressional Commission 2 years later. So he weighed back in trying to protect this political reform that he had a lot of skin in the game on. That's the committee that put Arnold on the air. There's been some criticism of the messaging tack that they took, which was about saving a government commission, as opposed to a more, maybe a sharper edge, screw the politicians type of message, frankly. You need to get to that type of visceral level to turn the frame of this from fight back against Donald Trump to like, no, vote no and fight back against career politicians. And the no campaign never had the oxygen to do that. And then the little that they did have never quite found that message.
And that's interesting because, a lot of times people say it's the Democrats that a lot of the times are kind of, soft when it comes to these things.
This is where we are, right? How did we get here? Because Gavin Newsom said, we're not going to be soft, we're going to go fight back. And everyone said, thank you. And, there were people at No Kings marches, thank you, Gavin Newsom. So, he definitely tapped into this energy that's out there. Now, again, where does this lead us next? We'll see. You can sustain this. Where's Trump going to be next cycle? I mean, I did races in 2014 that we could not get voters to come out and vote at all. It was Jerry Brown's reelection. Nobody cared. In Orange County, nobody cared. What happened 2 years later? Trump was on the ballot, and turnout went through the roof. So we'll see what happens next. In terms of the intensity, does it motivate Latino voters? And I think you're going to look and see this in these other states. The New York, is it the younger voters that they really come out? All these things that we've heard, all this anecdotal evidence. Now I think people are going to start to sift through to see what really happened, and that's what I think people are going to have a real hard time trying to understand some of the nuances of these elections.
I'm hearing some rumblings that we will hear from the governor any moment now, so stand by for that. But with that in mind, what do you think we're going to hear from the governor tonight?
Oh, I think he's going to send a message back to Trump. This is what California's spoken. We're standing up to Trump, and we're not done,
It's a national speech. It's going to take place before midnight East Coast time, so he can make national cable news. Hopefully, it'll be a stump speech for president.
For president.
Yeah. Wow. This is about taking the fight to Trump, and it's going to be about him and him demonstrating tonight that he's going to say, "Hey, I'm the guy that can lead this party that wants to fight back."
And who now has the political muscle and results
He's
to
demonstrated.
show for it.
Like I said, this is the first thing Democrats have had to cheer about in a year, is the result here tonight. And it looks like the margins of the results in Virginia and in New Jersey. But really, Gavin Newsom is who's going to be on top of mind for Democrat voters across the country, at least for the next several months when they're asked, who's the national leader of our party?
Yeah, it makes sense. Riding that momentum, right? Riding that win. Got to make the most of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's politics, right? I mean, some days you're up, some days you're down. And I think he's going to try to do everything he can to stay up. The hard part for Gavin Newsom is there's a lot of California criticism that follows him. And, he's definitely been pushing back on, you've seen him on talk shows and talking to reporters about the numbers that he can rattle off about how great California is. And I don't know if some of those numbers, really excite people when you talk about, these esoteric job creation.
Nobel laureates.
Right.
Yeah.
These things that are like not really top of mind for people when, we do have challenges in California. You drive by homeless encampments. So he's got work to do to shore some of that up. But he's going to be, there'll be a lot of people saying, hey, at least he's doing something. And that's what I think he's going to be able to trade off that for a while.
Does he come out with a conciliatory tone, or is he, taking it, like you say, to Trump, if you will? Because if he's speaking to a national audience, he's got to show that he's engaged.
Oh, he's taking it to Trump. This is about to be a firebrand speech. He'll be channeling his inner Barack Obama, and there's going to be a lot of gesticulating and a little bit of shouting going on.
Potentially some cursing. We'll see.
Well, with him these days, yeah, you could. Let's hope not, for all of your sake. I guess we're online, but yeah.
It's something that we are going to be watching because we are standing by to hear from the governor tonight. We also have our Alex Bell in studio, who has been looking at the numbers as they come in to give us an idea of how each district is voting, how each county is voting, giving us an idea of some of the initial numbers and what they're looking like so far. The interesting thing I thought, though, was at least when we've heard from now at least a few of the candidates, they all seem resigned to the fact that this was going to be the thing, right? You know what I mean?
I think everybody knew this. They saw the writing on. I think they saw the writing on the wall when the no side kind of went dark.
Yeah.
They just knew, like, well, there's nothing. There's Charles Munger wrote several checks, got 30 million in, did what he can do, and said, "I'm done." So I think that no one else came to help him. So,
What did you make, though, of the governor saying, those on the yes side, stop sending money? You know what I mean? Don't send us any more money. How did that read to you?
Well, they had spent all the money they could spend, and I think they were a little sensitive about there being criticism if there'd been money left over. But what Newsom has done is he's acquired small donors that he can go back to and start asking them to start giving to a federal committee that would support his exploratory run for president. So the acquisition of small donors is worth a lot in politics. And he already had done a lot of building along that front, but being able to take this to a national scale has allowed him to grow that database, and he banks that asset mechanically coming out of this effort.
There is a lot of political gain here. Absolutely.
A lot of political gain. Yes. Yeah. I mean, like I would say, he wins this year. There's other things he's going to have to suffer through next year. Other people will rise next year. It's very early in the national nomination game. But I think a lot of other Democrats that want to be president tonight would rather be Gavin Newsom than themselves.
What do you make of the fact that we've had so many people turn down the race for governor? We've had Kamala Harris, and then just hours ago, Alex Padilla say, no, I think I'm going to stay in the Senate.
Well, yeah, Rob and I have talked about Alex Padilla for a while, and I had heard that he was lining up to start interviewing for labor endorsements. And, so they were moving toward that he was going to be in the race, and then all of a sudden he's out. So it's big news, and it's going to be lost. And, he did it in such a way that it was over in 30 seconds. So, but, going back to the governor's operation, they had enough money to test all the ads that were on the air, including the ads that Tom Steyer, who was potentially going to run for governor, he spent $12 million on 2 ads, and they put out a release saying that the 2 Steyer ads were the worst performing ads that were out there. So when they have that much money to go and slap another candidate down, another Democrat down, who was running ads, it shows that there's a lot going on with this Prop 50, and there's a lot going on with the governor's race. There's a lot of politics at play here, because you have so much money that you can go test all the ads that were out there, including the 2 that you didn't do, and then release that to people to show that those 2 ads weren't effective. So I think some of this is, they want to make sure that they get the spotlight, no one else gets it, and the governor's operation did a good job of making sure that this is about, what they put together.